When I first started preparing my senior sage, I wanted to make everyone understand me. A venting session disguised as a deep philosophical contemplation that I can force 400 people to listen to sounds positively delightful. But somewhere along the line, I had an epiphany. And in that moment, it occurred to me that this is an even better opportunity to make fun of myself in front of my entire high school for a purpose and enjoy doing it. So that's what we're going with today. I'm Savita Thompson, and this is my senior sage. I'd like to share a few regrets. Major regret number 1, I wore a cactus costume to a Halloween party when I was 13. Major regret number 2, I've apparently let my brother think he can occupy the entire length of the couch while we're watching TV. This makes for a rather uncomfortable seating arrangement, typically involving me squished at one end and terrified to move lest I somehow provoke his brotherly wrath. And finally, major regret number 3. I've done a lot in the past 16 years, but not nearly enough of what matters to me. Let me introduce you to freshman Savi for context. Freshman Savi was, how do I say this nicely, a complete coward. I dragged my friends everywhere with me because I was terrified to do anything by myself, and God forbid I was late to a gathering. I remember one time I point blank refused to go to a yoga class with my mom because we'd have to walk in after everyone else had already settled in. And then, after all that, I proceeded to grumble that, nobody saw me as independent and competent and capable of leadership. All this took place in my beloved city of Cincinnati, Ohio, where I lived for 13 years. Then, one day, came the tragic news. This grave report was delivered by my dad. I got an amazing new job in Pittsburgh, and next year, you get to pack up and leave your friends and come with me. All right, he was actually a lot more understanding than that. But still, I didn't want to go. I'd have to leave behind the friends I'd wanted to spend the rest of high school with. And what if I never got to taste a freshly baked apple cider donut from Iron's Farm again? I stopped complaining after a bit, though, because wild, ambitious dreams got the better of me. I realized I had been given a great gift. This was a chance to reinvent myself, to make a Savi who wasn't shy, who actually had charisma, and, well, I wanted an all shall love me in despair type situation, to quote the Lady Galadriel. So, what was my master plan? In order to make a name for myself, I had to be involved, right? I'm not sure anyone in the history of the Academy has ever read over the clubs and extracurriculars section of the website as much as I did that summer. I set out to create an extremely long bucket list of things to do in high school. Model UN, DLC, being a department associate, running for student council, going on an exchange trip, competing in science fairs, and of course, leading a bunch more organizations, etc., etc., etc. Clearly, I forgot time was limited, because after 3 years, I've only actually done one of those things. Looking back, I often ask myself why I backed away from so many of those pursuits I had aspired towards. I'd like to blame the constraints of my schedule, but most of my friends struggle more than I do and manage on less sleep. So, no, I don't believe the obstacle had much at all to do with logistics. Such is the story of my joining speech and debate. Or rather, my not joining speech and debate, despite stating for 3 years that I would. The progression went something like this. September of sophomore year. I definitely have to sign up. Maybe this way I can learn not to be afraid of public speaking. But I should probably make some friends first, just in case. Fast forward to junior year. Okay, but I feel like I need more confidence. I'll do it next year. Time skip to senior year. I'll do it next. Never mind. Now, I must unfortunately report that this is not a one-off. There was another activity I've always wanted to try, martial arts. I'm sure it was my love of fantasy novels that prompted this desire, since a lot of them depict heroics and epic sword fighting and whatnot. Somewhere along the line, however, I decided I wasn't ready. I didn't really know anything about martial arts. Plus, surely I wasn't fit enough. I couldn't do a push-up. I would literally rather write 3 standardized tests in a row than run a mile. Maybe I'm a teensy bit afraid of sparring with someone. I mean, what if they hit me? So I figured, maybe I'll fix all that before I attempt martial arts. Well, I still haven't given it a shot, and it's been 7 years. I might also add that my push-ups remain subpar. We're working on it. The problem with these patterns of thought is that they go on forever. Now, I'm not saying we should just run in blind and do whatever we want. Preparation does have its value. For example, you better be pretty prepared if you want to operate on me. That said, we all have to start somewhere. And joining speech and debate isn't life-threatening to anyone or anything, besides maybe my ego. Plus, if I mumble my way through an illogical speech at a tournament, so what? Surely the judges will still be impressed by, I don't know, my hair? Anyway, by avoiding speech and debate and my dream of learning a martial art, I wasn't doing anyone, myself included, any favors. All that happened is that I still want to learn those skills, but I currently can't use them. So I guess I've lost patience with being patient with myself. I've waited 16 years for the perfect situation that will suddenly banish all my fears, leave me fully prepared to do what I want to do. And it simply hasn't come. What will I do? Wait another 16? In the words of Bartleby the Scrivener, I would prefer not to. Without the example of this community, the realization that patience can only take me so far might have stayed purely theoretical. In practice, it's far easier to step out of your comfort zone when others are willing to be imperfect with you. My friends have taught me that talking to people isn't so bad, and that quantum physics and chemistry club is infinitely more enjoyable with curious classmates. You've taught me that talking about our music taste in PM ceramics is more special than having a perfect throw, and that developing a perfect throw in softball is the accumulation of hours of practice and camaraderie. It's true. There are things I regret shying away from during my high school career. And yet, I don't particularly regret the outcomes that my choices and a whole lot of luck and support have led me to. The way I'd imagined my Shady Side experience unfolding depended on becoming a person without doubts overnight. That was unrealistic, so I'm not actually disappointed. But from the opportunities I have taken, I can still count myself infinitely better equipped for the future than I was 3 years ago, even if I'll always excel at fretting about all the things I might not be ready to handle. Right now, I'm going to make myself a promise. This summer, I will start practicing martial arts. I will try out the activities that fascinate me, because the other option is to wish I'd done them later. Maybe not everyone will be right for me, but I suspect some will be full of wondrous surprises. What will you do this summer? What's that sport or skill or really cool project that's always been at the back of your mind? The one you love and avoid with equal intensity? Give yourself a moment to try it this summer, or even this month, or this weekend. We all have our dreams. We might as well chase them day by day. Seeing as I've recently become determined to make as many people as possible suffer through my poetry, I have a short piece to conclude. So long is the road ahead, longer than the one behind. To bide our days awaiting will fill us all with dread. If you hear the call, heed it. Turn toward forgotten hopes. Cast away your dull routine. Follow the path most fit. Thank you.